Good morning. Good morning. The word for you today. Today is Thursday, July 25th, and our devotion today is titled Share Your Wisdom. Our scripture passage comes out of the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 13, which says, "Blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding." When I think about my interactions with other people, when I think about talking about a subject, there are three types of conversations I have. The first is the one where one of us is not interested at all. When you absolutely cannot stand talking about the topic. My sister hates politics. She hates talking about it. She doesn't care. It's not for her. And so it doesn't matter if it's a local election, a school board election. It doesn't matter if it's a bill that's being passed about seatbelts. It doesn't matter if it's the presidential election. No matter what it is, she does not care. And so any conversation with her about that is not enjoyable. The next one is the one where you don't really have a preference either way. It's a conversation, it happens, but it's largely forgettable. I think about talking to my sister about family science. I can think something is really interesting, but if she doesn't really care, it's kind of boring sometimes. It's a boring conversation because there's no engagement. But that third type of conversation is the one where you are so intensely invested in it. There's such a passion for it that you can't help but be enraptured by it. You can't help but be enraptured in what they're saying, to be absolutely enthralled in the conversation, even if you don't understand anything about what they're talking about. And those are the conversations that I find most fascinating, that I find most interesting. And I think it's because it allows somebody to share from the pool of knowledge, of wisdom that they have. So today we're talking about sharing your wisdom and what that means. I could give you a very long explanation on the importance of wisdom in the ancient world. SparkNotes version, the Cliff Notes, the annotation of that sermon would be, wisdom was kind of like gold for them. It was the standard. Similar to think of it like how a patriot thinks about freedom in America. It was the gold standard that you wanted to have. But I think what's more interesting with wisdom is the daily application that we have. Wisdom is not something that is a have or have not. There is wisdom in everything, in every person. Now, that wisdom may be in different things. For instance, I am not the person you want to come to if you're trying to figure out how to move something, because my mind does not work that way. If you want me to add two numbers together, I'm going to use my phone's calculator, because it is not how I work. I don't understand how to make numbers work in the ways that some people who are just so passionate about math that they can do amazing, beautiful things with numbers. The same with music. I love listening to music. But if you want to sit down and have a conversation about the technical way that a piece of music and arrangement works, I'll listen, but I'm not going to be able to contribute much to it, because that's not where my knowledge, where my wisdom lies. But if you want to talk about nuance in language, if you want to talk about how the Bible looks at families, how the Bible talks about families, I'm all in. And suddenly, this well of knowledge and this passion I have, I'm able to show. And I think that is what sharing wisdom encaptures. Sharing your wisdom is finding that place, that meeting point, that crossroads where your knowledge and your passion comes together. mixed with your experience, and you can't help but share, you can't help but inform out of a joy for the subject, out of a care for the person who's listening. I find that when I share wisdom in this way, I'm not saying I'm better than you. When somebody who is intensely passionate about a subject is sharing this wisdom, it's not a patronizing, talking down to way of I know more than you. It's an excitement that's infectious. It's an excitement that I can't help but hold on to. So when I think about sharing wisdom, not only do I think it's a blessing because it is something to be valued, I think that sharing your wisdom is something that we are called to do because it's an intensely personal thing that connects us to one another. So, this week, what are you passionate about? What is something that you have such a depth of knowledge or lived experience, a depth of passion and enjoyment in the subject? What is it? And describe it, talk about it. Talk to somebody about what you enjoy, and more importantly, talk to somebody about what they enjoy. Listen to their thoughts on the subject and think about what it must mean for them to be able to talk about it without worrying about boring somebody else. We share our wisdom not because we want to be smarter than somebody else. We share it because we love that other person so much. We value that relationship so much, and we value the subject so much that we can't help but talk about it. So whether that is in music, whether that's in scripture, whether that's in math, or I don't know, whatever it is, engage with it. Build that community and use those passions to better honor the God who all wisdom comes from. Have a nice day.